See, there's spiritual power. Spiritual power is greater than material power. It can move the miracles. It can move the essence of what we are all about, the universe. Once there is true peace in your mind, you will float with the skies, with the stars and the heavens. You will visit all of them. And that'll be your peace. You will understand peace when your spirit visits those stars every night, or listening to just listening to even to water trickling down. That's peace. That is true peace. Even to hear the rustling of the leaves, that's peace. And when you hear the song of the birds, that's peace. And no interruption in your dreams, no interruption in your life. That's peace. Beautiful peace.
Hello, my relatives. And this is a good time to be together. And I think right now I have a wonderful guest. And what I'd like to do is take a minute and let her introduce herself. But right now we are at Capital Community TV here in Salem, Oregon. And I sure enjoy doing what I'm doing here, being the host of our program, which is Wake the People. And by using that name, I'm hoping that the program and the guests that we have will help wake the people to the many things that are taking place in the state of Oregon and also the nation. And so that we can all be aware of the good things and also the not very good things. So that's what we're going to be talking about a little bit tonight, but I'm excited to get into this. And so I will let my guest introduce herself, and I'll kind of get out of the way. Okay?
Wonderful. Thank you for having me. My name is Kelsey Juliana. I'm 18 years old, about to turn 19 in March, and I was born in Fall Creek, Oregon, just outside of Eugene, and I've lived in Oregon my whole life. Wonderful place to be.
Yeah. Fall Creek. So you attend school in Eugene?
Yeah, I just graduated high school last June at South Eugene High School, and I'm attending Warren Wilson College this coming January, so January of 2015, and Warren Wilson College is located in the Shenandoah Valley of the Appalachian Mountains in Asheville, North Carolina. So it's really cool. I'm moving from the Cascade Range, which is part of my middle name. My full name is Kelsey Cascadia Rose Juliana. It really comes from my region. Kelsey Creek is this wild area that flows throughout the Cascade Mountains. And so I'm moving from one mountain range and the Pacific Ocean to the other coastline in the Appalachian Mountain Range. So I'm really excited about that.
Wow. You come back with another name.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, that's great. All right. And so in your what would we call this, environmental advocacy, during that, how did you get interested in such a thing, speaking for the world?
Well, I was raised in a community of people who really valued the earth. I think as a fundamental principle, you respect and you care for your mother and your Mother Earth. And so I was raised with values that are centered around, honoring the greater community, honoring life, current life, past life, microcosmic life, universal life, and future life, future generations. And so, I guess you could say like my activism, my field of interest, all of that is really just my core values. It's just part of who I am. It's what I was, the principles and the morals of what I was raised with. And so for me, it's speaking at these engagements and doing work that is called, activism, being an environmentalist, a social justice advocate, et cetera, et cetera. That's just part of, keeping with my own personal integrity.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good. Yeah, I had a lot of fun doing the same things. Being the spokesman for our Mother Earth and all of the children, and I still do. Every chance I get, speak for the animals and the birds and all the water beings, and just like to say they have no voice in this world. So we have to be that, and also for the children. Yeah. So I'm excited that you're involved in this, and as your parents probably are as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, tell me a little about the court case. How did that start?
Right. Well, speaking about protecting water and land and children, it's really important that we do look at the science and we do look at, our global crises and environmental, ecological, and social systems right now, because they really are in danger. Right now, there's chaos within our economic structure. There's towns are being flooded. There's towns are being burnt. There's ice that's being melted. There's people that are dying from heat strokes. So there's definitely a lot going on, and we also need to think about what's going to happen in the future. So this wonderful team of law professors and lawyers got together and they formed an organization called Our Children's Trust. And Our Children's Trust is actually based out of Eugene, Oregon, my hometown, so I'm very privileged to work with them a lot because we're in the same city. They work to support youth who are taking their local and federal governments to court and kind of calling them out on not protecting vital natural resources for current and future generations that are in danger of going extinct, of being polluted beyond repair. And so, I'm very humbled and grateful and extremely lucky to be one of the co-plaintiffs on a lawsuit within the state of Oregon, suing Governor Kitzhaber, asking for a climate carbon reduction plan. So basically we're saying, you're not doing your job. You need to protect the atmosphere, a vital resource for, all life, both current and future, and reduce our CO2 emissions by 6% each year, which was what, leading scientists like James Hansen were saying we needed to reduce our emissions to, 4 or 5 years ago. I got on this case as an incoming freshman in high school. And I'm just graduated, and this case is just going back to the courts again after being dismissed, I believe, my sophomore year of high school, whatever year that was. I think 2011 or 12. And then we went back to the Court of Appeals, and they reversed the trial court's decision and said, no, actually, this is definitely, the court definitely has power to address this issue. This is in your jurisdiction as a judge. We need to take this back to the court. And so here we are, going back to court March 13th. Yeah, it's very exciting.
Okay. That sounds good. Yeah. And I'd like to follow that one.
Oh, yeah, and I think something that's really beautiful and powerful about this is that this is not in Oregon alone. This is not my case. This is a movement of youth who are harnessing their citizen rights, who are holding their elected officials accountable. And so there are legal actions in every state in the U.S., as well as about, I believe, 12 or more international cases. Okay. And so there are youth in every state in the U.S. taking their governments to court. There's a federal case that just recently, as of a couple days ago, was actually denied. We tried to take it to the Supreme Court, and we were dismissed, but that's not a huge shock. They take a very small percentage of, the cases available. But yeah, there are statewide lawsuits all over the place, and there are also a 9-piece documentary film on these youth who are sharing their stories about why they care, why they care, why they're doing the work that they're doing, and those youth, the youngest is Jamie Lynn Butler, 11 years old, who lives in the desert and doesn't have any water. So they're youth from all across the U.S., all different ages, who are really seeing, the effects from the climate crisis, in their water, in their soil, in their trees, and are wanting, to fix it.
Yes. What is some of the response from the attorneys that you come across at different places?
Well, it's interesting because I think we're really very compelling. It's hard to say no to us.
Mm-hmm.
It's frustrating that we haven't seen more positive results in these cases. Really, Oregon is the most advanced, and we've already been dismissed once. Luckily, we were turned around by the appellate court, Court of Appeals, and so we're going back and re-looking at the merits of the case. But we haven't seen that great a positive result from the courts, and it's not surprising. This is going to take an extremely brave and strong judge to put forward and hear our case. Because what we're hearing from the judges is that this is an issue that needs to go to the legislature. And it's true. However, they're not doing their job. So what happens next? We need to go to the courts and demand that they do their job.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we're doing. So the pushback is kind of, this isn't in my power, or go find another government branch or things like that. But really, at the end of the day, this is in our power. We do have a right to hold our government accountable. We do have a right to go to the courts. And just because we're young and we can't vote, or we don't have money to lobby politicians, does not mean that we're voiceless in any means.
Oh, good. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I find that in the times my growing up, I ran across a lot of the same things with the adults that seemed to not hear my concerns in my community, and that was a frustrating time. Yeah. And but eventually we was losing anyway. But I can understand the urgency that we do have, and your generation and the future generations that are coming.
Yeah.
That something has to be settled, and one way or another, the truth has to be there. And I think we can get that. And I'm just happy, like I said, that you're doing these things, and you and the others. And I look forward to the outcome.
Me too. Hoping positive.
And what sounds so great is international, the international level. And I was listening a little bit on what's happening in Lima, and in Peru right now with the climate change conference there. And hopefully there can be some voices heard there, and from the natural people. And if we can get that done, that will even strengthen the international issues that are there, dealing with they do have a lot of problems with forest and water. And so I do pray hard for something like that to take place, that we do need that help. And I think right now we'll take a short break, and then we can come back.
Okay, great.
Okay? back now and ready to continue with our program. And I think I'll start this one with a question on the Great March for Climate Change. I want to hear about that. LA to Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm so happy to share. I just got back in November from participating on a cross-country march called the Great March for Climate Action. And it was a walk, a pilgrimage really, from Los Angeles to Washington, D.C. So it was 8 months and about 3,000 miles. I think it was like 7 million footsteps or something like that. And it was, you know, people coming together from all across America, and we had a couple Canadians in there as well, to walk the talk, to experience the tragedies from the climate crisis for their own eyes, to meet people on the front lines, and really, like, as in our mission statement, to change the hearts and minds of the American people and of our politicians, of our leaders, and the money men who are making the decisions that, you know, in the end affect all of us, you know, right now and to come. And so it was a collection of people. I think they started in Los Angeles with over 1,000 people at this huge one-day event. And then after they met in the park and had this amazing rally, they walked like 13 plus miles in torrential rain. I mean, rain flooding, you know, almost up to their knees. And this is, you know, when they're having a drought. I mean, this is unheard of. And the kickoff day for this, you know, Great March for Climate Action is flooding the streets as, you know, hundreds of people walk through, you know, outer city LA. It was an incredible day. And I, unfortunately, because I was graduating high school, I couldn't join them until July. So I actually went and met them in Nebraska, just outside of Grand Island, Nebraska, so kind of flat lands, cornfields, small cities, small towns. And I was completely blown away. Again, I've never been to the Midwest. I've lived in Oregon my whole life. And all of a sudden I'm you know, in the middle of Nebraska, and I'm eating dinner with ranchers, and I'm, you know, graciously taking corn offered from people who picked it off their farms as we walk, you know, right by their property. And I'm protesting the Keystone XL pipeline with Cowboys and Indians Alliance and Bold, Nebraska. And I'm standing on the ground of the proposed Keystone XL on someone's, you know, beautiful property. And I'm talking to 5-year-old Cora May, who is the granddaughter of rancher Randy Thompson, who's actually one of 3 ranchers who are on a lawsuit against the state of Nebraska, saying, no, you cannot put this keystone on our land. This is a landowner's rights, and you're violating my right to own this property, and we will not allow you to put forth this project. And they won. And so here I am dancing with 5-year-old Cora May, whose grandpa, you know, is this rancher, conservative, lived in Nebraska his whole life, who is on the front line saying no to this horrible, you know, dirty project from a foreign country going through his land. And so that was my, you know, arrival to the Great March for Climate Action, and I stayed with them. I deferred my first term of college. I stayed with them until Washington, D.C. So I walked, you know, through Nebraska. I walked through Iowa, where we met ranchers who told us, look at what you see. All you see is green. All of this green, this is a green desert. There's no nutritional value. There's no money. this is a green desert and we're poor. And it was just heartbreaking, you know?
Wow.
And you're walking, I mean, we walked about 15 miles on average the first month that I was there. And then towards the end, you know, crunch time, got to get to DC by November 1st.
Yeah, right.
And so we were doing about 20 miles a day on average. And, you know, you're walking 15 miles along the side of a highway, and you're passing just cornfield after cornfield after cornfield up and down these rolling hills. And then all of a sudden, for a mile you smell this cattle farm, you know, the smell of cows being slaughtered for meat. And it was really hard. And then we get into Illinois, and we exit through, you know, Chicago, and we're walking along a street where on one side of the street is, you know, people's homes with backyard swimming pools and barbecues and city parks and baseball fields. And on the other side of the street is a factory that dumps illegally open piles of pet coke, which is a byproduct of refining coal.
Okay.
And you see this, you know, horrible byproduct, dirty, nasty, blowing into, you know, the backyard pools and into sports games right across the street. And, you know, we've talked to people who cancel games, who've had to, you know, tell their kids to come inside because the air is so polluted. We heard from one woman that they called, you know, a bunch of people in the neighborhood called the fire department because they thought there was a fire, but it was really just the smoke, or not the smoke, but the pet coke, you know, blowing up in the wind. I mean, it's just nasty, and it's right in these people's backyards. And the most unfortunate thing is that a lot of the people who are putting these foul products in those neighborhoods are the people that we'll never see and will never need to be in those neighborhoods because they're wealthy and they don't live in those areas and they can afford to live elsewhere or to relocate. You know, so we're seeing the people on the front lines who are facing this the most are the people in rural, you know, Midwest, or the people in the suburbs, in the outskirts of cities, in inner cities, you know, who can afford to relocate or to you know, get those factories or refineries out of their neighborhoods. And that was very enlightening to me because coming from, you know, small Eugene, Oregon, a college campus, primarily white, really primarily middle class. You know, we talk the talk a lot. We claim, you know, we have a claim to fame of being progressive, of being green, of being forward thinking, and I think we are. But we also aren't affected daily like these people. And so I've really noticed a lot of inaction in my own city because we don't have to put ourselves on the line and, you know, get this dirty refinery or this pipeline out of the way. You know, we don't have that running through our city. And so walking across the country and experiencing the problems firsthand that people across America are seeing, I mean, I really felt like I was truly an American citizen because I was holding with me the stories and the injustices and the triumphs of people, again, from Nebraska, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, New York, Pennsylvania, Maryland, and then finally DC. And it was an incredible experience.
Wow.
Yeah, well, there's a lot to share.
So who was there to greet you?
In DC, we had our entrance into DC was wonderful. We grew from about, you know, a average size about 25 to then for months we had about 35, 40, and overall throughout the 8 months there was about over 1,000 people who joined us. You know, people would join for the day, they would join for a state for 2 months, etc. But towards the end, we had 60 plus people. And every day, those couple of days coming up to November 1st, we'd all of a sudden, we'd get someone joining us at dinner who just flew in from California. Someone joining us, right in the morning before we take off from Colorado. And one of my favorites was this man, he's actually my age, so he's 18. And it's his first year of college as well. And he ran into us accidentally for his high school track. He was supposed to run with his high school track team. And he got to the park, and it was the wrong park. And this is on March 1st. Okay. And he gets to the park, and he's ready for his workout, and all of a sudden he sees hundreds of people in this random park with signs and banners and a stage, and he has no idea what's going on. And so he finished his 13 miles of jogging for cross country, and then he comes back and we're still there. And so he thought he'd check us out, and he ended up marching with us that whole day. And then 2 days before entering into DC, he lives in Los Angeles, California. He actually flew out and met us to be with us on the last day. So he was with us the first day and the last day. And this is an 18-year-old who came to us by accident.
Gosh.
Yeah, so we had a lot of stories like that. People who were just so honored to see us, honored that we would sacrifice, leave jobs, take off school, sell homes, and go on this walk to meet them, to hear their story, to experience, what they're living with. And then not only to have that personal interaction, but to carry their voice and connect them with people who are struggling or who are winning across the states. And then finally in DC, our nation's capital, to share their stories with the people of DC and to record them. We have it recorded and up online so anyone can see them. I mean, that was extremely powerful for all of the marchers. And I think that was really humbling and it honored those people to a huge degree, It was it was amazing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Gosh. Yeah, I've been there to DC a couple of different times, and the long walks and the wind up there, and the big rallies and so forth. And it is quite an exciting time, and it's a feeling that lasts for, oh gosh, sometimes forever.
I'm still feeling it.
Sure. Yeah. And then you kind of hope for the next one.
Yeah.
When will that one start? And kind of fortunate, I had my brother, Dennis Banks. He always had a new action to do, so about every 2 years or so we had something going on. So anyway, I just thought I'd throw that in there, but I understand the excitement and the pull of all the people coming together, the spiritual impact of that, and a powerful time. And I think right now we'll take another short break. Oh, we're back again, and we'll continue with our interview with Kelsey, and I think I need to hear some more on the walk, all the different people or families and so forth that greeted the walkers, and that's important to know about those things. That there are open doors in many places around the country, and need to honor them. So go ahead and continue with your story.
The march, really, we were met with such hospitality. Like I said before, these people were honored to have us go through their town of 200. Mm-hmm. They were honored to share the table with us, and I mean, it made me feel so great for making the decision to be on this march and to take this journey, and to have my mind opened up and my heart opened up, and to befriend people I never thought I would ever encounter, let alone share bread with, and talk about our love of life with, and so I had conversations with 80-year-old farmers. I had conversations with 12-year-olds in a small hilltop town in Pennsylvania, and whatever people could, they wanted to share with us. So we would have people pull us over on the side of the highway and give us a basket of food from their farm. Mm-hmm. We would have people come and meet us at our end location and offer to, give us a bed, a shower, and a warm meal that night. We stayed with a lot of people in their own homes. We stayed, in schools, yes, in community shelters and community centers. We stayed in city parks. I mean, right in the middle of a city park, with kids playing on the playground. It was really amazing. We also stayed in a lot of faith and spiritual centers. I mean, we stayed in a lot of churches, and I think that's something that really needs to be spoken to, because that was personally enlightening for me, to have one of the biggest responses, positive responses, come from the faith community. I mean, we had people from the Catholic Church, many people from the Unitarian Universalist Church, from Church of Christ, from, we had a lot of Presbyterian churches, and I mean, so many people of faith, welcoming us to speak during their service, to, sleep in their sanctuary. I mean, who fed us, who showered us, who, hosted community events with us. I mean, it was amazing. And why they were so on page with us is because, they were seeing what we were seeing, that earth, is sacred. And God or goddess or whatever you believe, put this earth and us on it. And as stewards of the land, it is our obligation to protect it and to keep it sacred and to keep it, thriving and livable and healthy. And it's against, God's wishes or whoever spiritual leader you believe in, it's against their wishes to pollute it and destroy it and, take it for granted. And so that was incredible. Looking at climate change from a spiritual, from a moral standpoint was wonderful. So some of my best friends on the march were, older grandmas, Okay. I had a good friend who was 71 years old. Another one of my good favorite marchers was, 9 years old, 9-year-old Poppy. And so, the age range was all over the place. The backgrounds of the marchers were all over the place. Their belief system, where they came from, why they're on the march. We had a rabbi on the march who, the first day there, he said, I don't really know that much about climate change, but I am spiritual, and I do care about the earth and the people who inhabit the earth, and all I know is that 200 or more species die a day, and I want to know why. And he was with us for quite a while. So we had people from all over the place, but really our response was very positive, and we all somehow seemed to come together and to unify ourselves and to unify people that we met along the way. And I think, looking at the Great March for Climate Action, it's a small scale, microscopic community. We were an intentional community. We were called One Earth Village. We had a judicial system, a mayor, we had a city council, we had cooks and people figuring out our route and logistics, within the marching community.
Okay.
So we were our own little system. And we had a lot of faults, a lot of struggles, but we also had a lot of unity and compassion and love for each other. And my biggest goal, my biggest hope, one of, there's lots of them I have, is that we can reflect what we struggled with and what we grew from and what we valued within that marching community in the greater community, in our cities, in our countries, in the global community. I really hope that we can unite ourselves as a nation, as I think we are coming to do, as we did on the march, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. One day, you'll be thinking about a book that you'll need to write. I got to write all this down someday. And maybe revisit some of those places.
Yeah, no, I definitely intend to. In fact, I actually, I'm in good contact still with one of my favorite people that I met on the march. She's 12 years old.
Okay.
Her name is Catherine Strang, no E at the end. And she's this incredible, middle schooler who lives in a hilltop town in Pennsylvania. And she found out that there's fracking going on in her favorite city park. And she was confused, didn't know what fracking was, was outraged when she found out what it was. And so she formed her own organization called Earth Kids with her mom and her 9-year-old sister. And here you go. A rock star is born out of someone who saw an injustice in her community against something she loves, her city park, and is taking a stand and doing something about it. So, I still talk with her and her mom frequently, and I definitely hope that I will be able to go visit these people and to help aid in their causes. And there are, I think the youth movement is something that really we need to look at in this movement, in the climate change movement, and in the environmental movement, because youth are underlooked a lot. We cannot vote if you're under 18. We don't have a lot of money. We're in school, so we're preoccupied. We have our futures, our grades, our jobs that we have to think about and prepare for. And yet, we are the most important voice there is. We are the most important voice in decision making. Everything that everyone does is on our behalf, or should be on our behalf. we are affected the greatest. Our futures are the most at risk. We are on the front lines. Youth is a frontline community, no matter where you come from, no matter where you live. And so I think with that said, we are the most at risk, and we are also the most powerful. And so on the march, I got to meet youth from all over who are harnessing their power and taking, a stand in their own communities. And that was something incredible. And I think that's what we're seeing more of, is we're seeing youth, leading the way on this movement. Youth protecting a park they love, or a river they love, or starting clubs in their own schools to get, zero waste within their school. I mean, I think this is a much larger societal problem, obviously, right? We need top-down change. We need, as well, bottom-top change. And I think that people are really hitting it in the small scale. In Pennsylvania, there's frack wells, within a circular radius of a mile, distance to parks and schools and churches. I mean, there's just fracking everywhere. Okay, it's horrible, and yet in Pennsylvania, they're seeing the first city that has ever banned fracking. I mean, Pittsburgh has completely banned fracking within their city limits. And we're also seeing community bills of rights that are saying, no, like, you can't, this is against our community bill of rights to go forward with this dirty fossil fuel project.
Yes.
And we're seeing local community organizing really win. And it is the most enlightening, and it is the most encouraging as someone who is young and whose voice is easy to put out, is to see these wins on the small scale, because they make a huge difference.
Sure do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea of the writing of community resolutions or the introduction of bills by the people. And that's important now that we start doing that, writing our own laws and our own bill, and getting rid of those that continue to grow today.
Yeah.
And you see, take a look at some of this stuff that there's attorneys for corporations that are up 24 hours a day rewriting laws to protect the corporation. And that's going on all the time.
Yeah.
Even as we speak, there's attorneys doing that.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're up against. And so it's time that the people start doing those things. This is what we want. This is our resolution. And this is our Constitution.
Yeah.
And this is what we want in it. So I know what you're thinking about, when you talk about those things. That it sounds so good, that people can do that, write their own, and then have a good response to it. And that's the important part, that you have a community that's supportive of the whole law that you're going to be writing, and natural law, and the natural law that includes everything is the important one, where we include the law of balance, where we know the individual's power and the individual's ability to help in whatever area they're able to do so. And from a little child that can carry water to the young ones that can and carry the wood or cut the wood or do the cooking and so all the way from childhood to the old ones, we're all teachers. And we have to all understand that, whether we're teaching the beautiful things or whether we're teaching destruction. We have to understand that we are teaching. So that's important. And is there any more? What else you want that we're missing?
Well, I guess let's see, some closing remarks. Right after the march, we had a week of direct actions in Washington, D.C. At the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. And that was every single day for a week. We went to FERC and we sat down and we blockaded and we got arrested and we called out to them, shame on you for putting forth these dirty fossil fuel projects in places like Cove Point, Maryland, in places like Seneca Lake, New York, where a dear friend of mine, has grown up on that lake. How dare you put forth, rubber stamp, these dirty fossil fuel projects? I mean, you are the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, and you're not regulating anything. You're saying yes, yes, yes. More money. Let's go forward with these projects. And so, after the march, where we educated ourselves and we united ourselves and we inspired ourselves and we felt pain and we felt triumph. Okay, we went and we acted on that, and we went and we did civil disobedience, and we exercised our community rights to protest and to hear and to shout out our injustices, and that's what I don't want people to forget. We need people writing letters to the editor. We need people on lawsuits, taking their government or their fossil fuel industries to court. We need people standing on their own land saying, you cannot frack my farm. You cannot put an export terminal in, my home land. We need those people. We need people working behind the scenes and writing proposals and putting together nonprofit organizations that advocate and that educate this work. And we need people sitting down in trees, in front of fences to factories. We need people getting arrested. We need it all. And you can't do one and you can't leave out the rest. We need it all together, and it's happening, and it's a multi-layered solution for a multi-layered problem, and it's going to take everyone to change everything. It's what we learned at People's Climate March.
Yeah. Well, I'm ready to join right now.
Great.
This has been a wonderful meeting, having you here, and certainly enjoyed this time.
Oh, me
and,
too.
At some point, I'd like to do a follow-up, and maybe after the hearing that's coming, or
wonderful.
something.
Yeah, March 13th in Eugene, Oregon.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, okay. Well, when something like that happens, do you like to have people there?
Yes, the more community support, the better. When we went to court for the first time, we had a whole 5th grade class there, as well as lots of parents and families. And I think that's really powerful, to pack the courtroom with the faces of the judges' children and of their peers. It's an incredible, incredible thing to see.
Yes. Okay. All right. Again, like I said, it was wonderful, and it'd be just great to have you back again. And I think we're out of time. Thank you again.
Thanks so much for having me.